Homestead-Miami, Florida, during a time of racing hiatus in the real world. Given real-world events, the sim racing world is taking full focus. We had the real-world NASCAR drivers hitting the high banks of the Miami Speedway last night, and today it's the ERSCA Premier PristineAuction.com series hitting the Miami-Dade Homestead County for what is going to be an exciting race here tonight on Sim TV. Giving you the calls tonight is going to be myself, Corey Silva, and of course my commentator, my longtime friend Brandon Kreutz here, as we do bring you the Xfinity cars here tonight at Miami, which one of the most competitive racetracks out there, Brandon, and also one of the driver favorites here tonight. We saw a caution-free race at a sister track at Atlanta last week. What are you expecting here tonight?
Well, you know, a lot of things have changed since the last time I've seen a race here, especially in these Xfinity vehicles, and it's all going to be new to me to see what happens. Of course, iRacing introduced the new tire model to all of these vehicles here in the recent months, and we all knew Homestead before to be a highline racetrack, and I'm seeing some of these guys starting to play with the middle to high groove, but so far all practice I've seen maybe that low groove going to be preferred at least at the start of this race.
Yeah, I think that is going to be the case, Brandon, with how it is, and we do have the top ticker that'll flash by your qualifying times right now. Looks like the number 2 machine on the preliminary poll in what is tonight's race. That is I want to make sure I get the sponsor right, the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast 200. Stay Tuned Sports Podcast 200. A lot of sponsors in this league. New one coming on board for tonight's race, so check them out. You'll see the flash by on the description. But yes, Brandon, the way that it has been working, we did see it last night. As speaking of night, the lights just turned on here in Miami, so we will be racing into darkness here tonight. We did see the middle groove and the bottom groove be the primary lines here. The tire is just not really favoring that high side, so it's going to kind of be a fight for about a lane and a half, I do believe, at least.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that'll be the case also, and seeing some good times from that middle groove so far. Nick Massey so far at the top of the board, 32.805, and about a lane and a half up, I think, is where these guys are really running the fast times right now.
Yes, and if you were not with us last week, again, as I referenced, we went green to green. We went flag to flag. There we go. Get my analogies in order there. At Atlanta, not a single caution flag hindered the race last week, and it was Joe Francis leading it in fuel, and we were actually very confused on the air. We thought there was more fuel capabilities than these guys actually had. He had a 15-second lead, only won the race by about a second over Tate Lytle. Turns out he was in massive fuel conservation mode, so again, depending on how it does work here tonight, 200 miles, 133 laps. If this thing does go clean and green, we may have that very same fuel mileage strategy. A little bit shorter of a race this week in terms of 133 laps, 200 miles, but again, I do expect hopefully a nice clean green race, and we'll see what does happen as these guys are concluding qualifying right now. Does look like Nick Massey is going to lead him down here with the fastest time right now. Chris Wright just finished his lap. That did put him in P3 right now, but these guys are just finishing up right now. We will get ourselves situated on the grid here at Homestead-Miami Speedway here on Sim TV. Happy that everybody is joining us here tonight for some action. Of course, stay active in our chat, stay interactive with us. We'll try to play some games and do what we did last week with some trivia, maybe mid-race, depending how it goes. But Brandon, I do think it's time. Let's give you the starting lineup here tonight from the Homestead-Miami Speedway. On the pole here tonight, as we said, very fast driver, having a great season so far. Nick Massey going to lead him off. Tate Lytle on the outside of the front row. In the third position, And I always have trouble with this grid here. Kyle told me about it. New graphics package coming to SimTV next week that you'll be able to look forward to. Chris Wright in third, Patrick Gaspar in fourth, and then as the rest of the field does populate on the bottom of your screen, they will flash by Damian Leininger and Scott Crump, fifth and sixth. But Brandon, you were telling me about some observations you had in practice about what some kind of handling issues we may be watching here tonight.
Yeah, you know, something I've been noticing, and it'll probably be an issue for the first couple of laps on new tires, and probably as the race goes on. I'm seeing a lot of these guys really getting loose on exit of these corners, and you know, obviously new tires, cold tires, it's something that we have known to be an issue, and you know, these guys getting really loose through the corner. But I think as the run goes on, the tires are gonna grip up and they're gonna go away really quick. So one thing to watch, I think, here tonight is that right rear tire. As it starts to get worn down, the car is gonna get looser and looser, and you're gonna use it up more and more, and these cars are gonna get more difficult to try to keep under control.
I do expect that to be the case as well. Again, the grid still populated in the bottom. Zach Patton, field favorite in the 19th position here tonight. Versus Zach Patton update, we did say lap 109. I think it was lap 58. Those are your two scheduled Zach Patton updates. We'll try to stick to that this week as well, as the remainder of the grid does populate at the bottom of the screen. And Brandon, to elude what you talked about with tires, I think it was Cody McCorkle last week. We actually saw him blow a right front tire after an extended stint. So, you know, a very good point there that you do have to watch the right front. Who is fast in the beginning may not be fast at the end of the run. Cody McCorkle 25th, Jake Finch in 26th, Marshall Stanley 27th, Ishan Jura in the number 28th position. And I think we have a few more. I think there was about 30 that I remember. Chase Cardoza and Brian Dorsey 29th and 30th. And we are getting ready to conclude our last pace lap, or our only pace lap, and get this race underway. Brent Jones shotgun on the field here tonight. Homestead-Miami Speedway is where we are at tonight for 133 laps of action for the ERSCA Series, PristineAuction.com Xfinity Series. Here we are tonight. Ford Mustang pulls off of turn number 4. We are getting ready on a Monday night for some action. Nick Massey on the throttle. We are racing in Miami.
Green flag is in the air. The field heads down at its corner number 1. So far, clean and green. They're going to stay side by side for that second position. Down off of corner number 2. It's going to be the 69 down low. That's Chris Wright looking to take second position away. Tate Lytle hanging on to that third position so far. The field screams down at the corner.
So far, so good as we do go through the field here. Some 2-3 wide racing through the middle of the pack. That's the eye of the storm, where these first couple laps you do really have to be careful to make sure that you can get through it cleanly. And we've already had a caution flag at the end of the first lap. Cody McCorkle in the 61. David Strackbine also slow off of 4. We'll go back on SimTV replay and try to figure out what happened, what slowed the race down before we even got up to speed, really.
Looks like that 44 machine, Strackbine had a lot of help there from that 61 machine, and around he goes, and
where he stopped, ooh, and a couple drivers, I think that was the 17 of Chase Cardoza, just barely snuck by on the bottom there. But yeah, a little bit of help to say the least, Brandon, I think, facilitated in that wreck. But and we will get him wound up under caution here, and I don't expect to have any pit stops after one lap other than those who may have some damage.
So as we quickly went green, we just as quickly go caution, and for the first time of the night, and currently on lap 3, and no major position changes other than the cars involved in the caution. A swap for second and third as far as I can see. Tate Lytle and Chris Wright both swapping positions, so they'll be inversed on the row, and caution speed once again on the speedway.
We'll probably have about 3 pace laps and we'll get ourselves underway, and Again, just kind of bringing up some heavy hitters right now. Nick Massey. In terms of point standings, we didn't go over it in the pre-race, but in terms of where these guys are on their point standings right now, Nick Massey has been one of the fastest, in many cases, the fastest driver this season, but he's only in third right now in the point standings. Scott Crump is in second. Crump is, where is he in the lineup right now? I saw him, I think he was he's in the 5th spot right now. And then Joshua Adams, your points leader, he's back in the 9th position, but of course over 110 laps to go. So a lot of time, well, essentially we haven't even started anything yet. So a lot of time for some drivers to come and go, as we talked about with tire management. Here we come off of corner number 2, and we will, as Brandon Kreutz kind of started in our PTR TV days, his adage, we're going to get doubled up, stacked up, and ready to go back green flag racing here. I will be taking lap number 5 this time around, and Nick Massey got the whole shot quite easily on the initial start. Belly Up Sports on the number 69 of Chris Wright, another big sponsor in this league. I know they're going to be putting a lot of focus on this series, as there's not much to talk about in the in the sports world these days. So Belly Up is going to be spending a lot of time and focus on the esports side. So a lot of focus in this league, and I know 69 wants to have a good run with that sponsor on the hood, as the pace car will pull back into the safety of pit road, and we'll try it one more time. Green flag back out here in Homestead.
Down into corner number 1 as the field screams through corners number 1 and 2. Chris Wright holding on to that second position. They're going to be side by side behind him. Look at the 56 machine trying to make a move. That's going to be...
We have carnage on the back straightaway.
Caution flag on the speedway once again.
Sean Dias in the 87. He is in the doing some agricultural work there on the backstretch. Try to see what instigated that here on Sim TV replay. We have it queued up right here off corner number 2. We are looking 87 on the high side. 87 gets a little bit free, Brandon. You talked about that. 87 got loose into the number 4 machine of Dylan Hickey. Both of them had some minor contact into the inside barrier.
These guys have not really had a chance to even scuff these tires yet, and, not even a heat cycle into these tires. It's going to be really, really loose, even off of this restart. So pushing it, I think, just a little bit too hard. That rear end kicked out on him, and, of course, causing a mess down off of corner number 2 that last time.
Yeah. If only they paved down there on the inside of that back straightaway, maybe those guys would have been able to avoid that wreck. Cough, cough, hint, hint, iRacing. Yeah, we love our sim, but, Homestead needs a little bit of love. There is some pavement there in the real world that maybe would have facilitated them surviving that, but in this grass era that we do have, obviously not much ability to control the vehicle down there. And, very unlike what we experienced last week, 2 cautions and effectively 2 laps of green flag racing. So,
once again, quickly back under the yellow flag, and, Homestead-Miami Speedway opened in 1995 and broke ground in 1993. Place took 2 years to build. Construction cost around $70 million. And, also, original name was actually the Homestead Motorsports Complex.
Miami-Dade Homestead Motorsports Complex.
Yes. Yep.
I played that on a video game. Oh my god, because the original, and this is something, as we get into some trivia here, we'll do a question later in the race, but Homestead has been reconfigured twice. So we are in our current configuration of it, which is, this high-banked, traditional oval. It was a 6-degree flat oval from about 1998 until 2003. That was primarily when kart was the main focus, kart and IndyCar. Obviously those cars do better on flat tracks. Before that, though, it was actually a rectangular shaped speedway, similar to Indy, but in the 1.5 mile configuration. I bet you didn't know that.
I didn't. I was just reading off my fun facts.
Yeah, but this actually was a rectangular shaped facility when it first opened, and it actually took a fatality. Joe Nemechek's brother John Nemechek actually died in what was the Craftsman Truck Series at the time. He actually passed away with a very vicious incident into one of the corners because they had really bad crash angles. So that's where it started the reconfiguration, and I think they, on the third time's a charm, they got it right with this progressively banked situation we do have here, and hopefully they don't pave it anytime soon, but I feel like it's kind of getting the end of its life, but definitely a fan favorite, a driver favorite, and hopefully we get to race it in the near future, given everything that's going on. But Brandon, I know you're doing your restart, so here we are. We're going to try it again for a third time here tonight. Get us going for this next restart.
2 caution flags down already, still only on lap 8, coming to complete lap 8 on the lap 9. Pace car wakes its way down into the safety of pit road. They're on the throttle. Green flag is in the air once again.
We are green flag racing, and while Chris Wright was ready to pounce on that restart, he stayed right on the back bumper of Massey, not letting him get away at all. Look at Massey not get through the center of the corner too well. That's going to open up the door for the 69, who got off of 2 quite well. He's going to have a fender to the inside. Is he going to try to put it in there? Is he going to back off as we head into 3? Massey's going to sail it on in there, protect the lead for the time being.
These guys running about a lane and a half up into the corners so far, and I think that groove may be able to move around just a little bit as a big wiggle down off of turn 4 for that 56 machine. That's Tate Lytle, and he's going to have company from Kyle Lowry behind him.
Yeah, those low-line racing drivers, they do work their way up over the course of the race. Usually top 5 drivers. Lowry is the highest of them so far in that 5th position. We have single-filed out for quite some ways right now. Go back to the the 9th position where we have the 57 of Adam Pettit. He was just side-by-side with somebody. We have some side-by-side right behind that, though. That's the 8 machine of Lafferty and the 88 of Isabella. A battle of the 8s here for what is the 12th and 13th spot. Looks like Isabella will prevail in that situation.
These guys trying to get racy here at Homestead, and as we see some guys already starting to make their way through the field. Josh Adams ducks beneath the 51. That's Scott Crump on the outside now. Almost a little bit of contact there on corner entry to corner number 3. Side by side down off of corner number 4. Now down the front straightaway. Josh Adams looking to break top 6, and he's got his eyes set on top 5 now as he pulls up on Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, Brandon, this is just going to be a dynamic, again, that we're not quite used to at Homestead. We haven't had it in years where these guys are going to be side by side on the straightaway, and they're going to be funneling into what essentially is 1.5, maybe 2 lanes of raceable real estate in this middle groove, and that's what caused a lot of wrecks at our eNASCAR Invitational event last night on FS1, yesterday afternoon rather, as somebody in the fence there, I think that was actually Tate Lytle. But these guys are really coming close as they fight for that middle lane. Here comes the 95 of Adams. He's going to clear the 2 of Lowry easily through the center of the corner. And actually, here comes Lowry with the crossover.
Side by side, down into corner number 3 now. The 2, that's Kyle Lowry down at the bottom. Josh Adams up high. Almost a little bit of contact there once again. 95 may have the run up top, and that he does not quite able to clear yet, but he has the clear advantage, and now he sails it off into corner number 1.
Yeah, he does sail it off into the corner, and sailed it in a little bit too hard, if even, because that may have opened the door. Nearly did for Patrick Gaspar in the 86 machine, as I did see some sparks kick up again off corner number 2 there. Someone getting a little bit high onto the safer barrier. But here we come through 3 and 4. That battle will cease, and again, you're not missing anything up front right now, because Nick Massey is still holding about a 2-car length lead over second place Chris Wright. Damian Leininger in 3rd right now. Leininger is in 3rd right now, and right behind that is Tate Lytle. That battle may be closing in. Actually, it does look like it is closing in. Lytle trying to close it on that 12.
Tate Lytle trying to close in on the 12 car now within the top 5, as these guys are kind of mostly singled out now around the field. I think just trying to save their equipment early in this race, Corey.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that, you know, I did a lot of. I think I did a B fixed here on iRacing, but I didn't do it during the nighttime. It was actually mid-afternoon, similar to what the races would have been had we not had this pandemic that we're dealing with in society right now. And one thing that I did notice is that, as you said, Brandon, that right front tire. Same thing in the Cup car. I noticed that right front tire, you had to save it. If you didn't, you might prevail on the first 10, 15, even 20 laps. But I actually got beat by Landon Castle. You know, he was in the race yesterday. We had a pretty good run, but he saved his right front better than I did, and I thought I had the race won. He came back with the last 15 laps, and he blew my doors off because he had better tires. So that's something these guys do have to watch out for. As again, we're looking through battles in the field right now, going all the way back through the mid-teens. Marshall Stanley and Johnny Parham, who is I think it's the first time I've seen that name in the series. So these guys getting some new drivers in. Johnny Thomas side by side with the Tennessee Shandura. Thomas much lower. Usually we see him top 10, top 15. Thomas all the way in the mid-20s. So obviously that Camaro not to his liking. We're just trying to acclimate to the speedway early in the race.
And yeah, absolutely. And, you know, seeing guys trying to run these higher lines and just does not seem to be quite working out yet. And I do feel like that group is going to move around a little bit as this race goes on. But right now, I think it's just a little bit too early, Corey.
Yeah, it's the way that it does work right now is it's all about getting that rubber down. You have to have rubber down to get grip. So essentially, these guys are going to have to work that high line, and they're going to have to, you know, get the right sides a little bit out of the current rubber, get those right sides into the clean stuff, and just slowly work that groove up. And that's kind of what the 0-3 of Dylan Thomas is doing right now. He's in that second-ish lane, and the more these guys do that, the faster that's going to be. And remember, there is more banking at the top of the speedway, so if they can get that top groove working, they're going to get the grip and the banking advantage up there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, as this bottom gets rubbered in more and more, it's going to be, you know, these guys fighting for, I guess I kind of like to call it the gray groove.
Well, actually, speaking of which, Jake Finch in the 23, he's testing it out there in 3 and 4 as he's getting passed by the number 8 of Richard Lafferty. And I don't know, actually, cut that thought. We do have a caution flag.
Caution on the
Zach
speedway
Patton,
once
the
again.
fan favorite, and then he has a secondary incident with the 17 of Chase Cardoza. All you Zach Patton fans, I do apologize wholeheartedly, but your race may be and remainder be disappointed, but we'll see what happened. The 17, I think he got into the fence there, off of 2. No, actually, Patton looks like he got into the back of Cardoza on the backstretch, spun him around. We'll take one more look at it, but it did actually look like the 3 gave a bump to the 17 off of 2, and that just kind of sent him going around. Just trying to get a good perspective for it on camera here. It's gonna be a second to, you know, find that. Looks like here we do have it right now. Coming off of 2, we are on board with Zach Patton right now, and 17 didn't get off the corner at all that time. Yeah, and then there it is. So Patton looks like, I don't know if he'll get back out there, but he is around right now.
So back under caution once again. Nick Massey's going to lead the field down pit road. And I expect 4 tires and fuel for every single one of these guys.
And another change, Brandon, in the iRacing service. We did see it in the Coca-Cola iRacing Series race last week, but finally we are pitting directly off turn 4 here in Miami. So if we do get a green flag stop, these guys will have to pull off the banking. They can choose to use the access road, but it will be faster to peel right off, but that is also going to be quite dangerous as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, driver preference, but I do expect if we do get green flag stops, everybody's going to peel off the bank in a close race off pit road between Nick Massey and Chris Wright, and Massey's going to win that race by about 2 or 3 inches, I'd say, off of pit road at the line.
I know you said peel off the banking, but it really sounded like you said peel off the bacon, but I don't know why I felt the need to call that out.
I like bacon too. It's okay.
All right. So I was told these guys, they are a fan of interviews here. So while we do have some time, see if we can drag one of these guys up. Let's bring up Josh Adams from Rubbins Racing Motorsports. Brandon, I'll kind of give you that privilege if you could take care of that for us. Brandon lost the codes to dial up on the radio here to find these drivers.
I did. All right, here we go.
All right, Josh Adams, Corey from SimTV, you got us, brother?
Yeah, I've got you.
All right, so we had a couple quick cautions and about 15-lap run there, and saw a bunch of guys getting loose in practice, but how's it going for you so far, lap 25 into this race?
I got it by a couple of guys there. I'm sure they were just trying to save some. I felt like I started getting really tight, so I'm probably trying to back it off this next run and see what.
Yeah, I know it's about saving the tires in this current build, and I know it's we're not having that multi-groove Homestead we used to be having, years past. But what's it been like, kind of fighting for that middle lane? How hard is it to pass?
Oh, I think it's really hard to pass, and I think it's only going to get harder as the race goes. Kind of just got to wait for a guy to make a mistake. We'll see as we get the run going when tires wear and stuff. It might be a little bit easier, but it's definitely a fight for the bottom lane, like the second.
All right, man. Well, we know you're fast. We know you can get yourself up there, so we'll be watching you. Good luck. We'll let you get back at it.
Thank you.
That's Josh Adams in the 95 machine. Again, kind of talking about what we knew this season, where it is a little bit harder to pass here. He did win a race this season, and it was the best one to win. He did win the opener at Daytona, and it's had some pretty good runs since. A third at Richmond, a second at Phoenix, a 10th at Atlanta, which he did have a better car than 10th, but just kind of didn't have the strategy work to his benefit there. But we'll see what he can do on this restart as we are on lap number 25 of 133. Still have 29 drivers on the lead lap. Zach Patton is on the track without a rear bumper cover. He is on the track 1 lap down. Yeah, Chase Cardoza has some slightly more substantial damage to repair on that number 17, but up front, again, it is your front row. Hasn't changed. Massey and Wright, Leidinger and Lytle, Lowry and Adams, your first 3 rows, Brandon.
It's going to be Nick Massey and Chris Wright leading the field back to the green flag once again. This time out of corner number 4, the iRacing official Ford Mustang pace car will make its way into the safety of pit road once again. The field is on the throttle once again. Green flag in the air.
Green flag in the air, and the 48 got a much better jump than Wright. Wright was not ready on that restart. Sorry about what happened there. But the number 12 machine of Leidinger, he's going to clear for that second position. He's going to clear for it easily, and that number 69 may not have been completely lost of position so far. Tate Lytle in the 56, he's going to try to get down in there. We know that upper groove's not there, Brandon. That 69 is, we talked about it at Dega. He's kind of hung out to dry right now.
Damian Leininger went from 3rd all the way to 1st in that 1 lap. He's going to be your new leader this time at corner number 1. Nick Massey tries to look low. Going to have nothing for him this time down the back straightaway.
Yeah, I didn't quite catch that as I was watching the timing and scoring. And into the fence is Kyle Lowry. He's going to hit someone down those grass onto the back straightaway.
Big
That's
impact.
Chris Wright. That's Chris
Wright.
Wright, and no caution. It's off the track, so it did not bring out a caution. I'm not sure if the admin will manually throw one, but yeah, that did not throw out the caution. We remain green. We will check it out on SimTV replay.
Tough break for the 69 machine of Chris Wright, as we're still green on the racetrack. No caution was thrown.
Yeah, Lowry into the fence, just got into the 69 hard into the concrete down there. No safer barrier down there on the back stretch, and Wright will just now get to pit road. One of your top contenders, likely out of contention for the rest of the race with some multiple laps going down. But here we are up front, and Damian Leininger in the 12. He has the lead, and the 56 Tate Lytle. He was second last week at Atlanta, and here he comes right to the back bumper of the 12. Massey kind of has that dirty air in the nose now. We'll see if he's able to work through that.
Yeah, the first few laps of the night that Massey has had to have driven in that dirty air, and still trying to adjust, but he is falling back from the lead by just a little bit. And of course, it's a 3-car breakaway up at the front right now, but Tate Lytle now falling away from the leader of Damian Leininger just a little bit in second.
Here comes Josh Adams to the inside. He's trying to get underneath the number 86, and he's trying to peel that bacon bread and try to get to the inside, grab these positions. Apparently our chat has also liked that line. He's not able to get it off of 2 that time by. He will fall back into line. Patrick Gaspar will remain in that 4th spot. We do have a battle right behind that. It's going to be Dylan Thomas to the outside. The 57 Puma Ford Mustang of Adam Pettit will try to get that position, but it will have to fall back in line. And right behind that, Kenny Lowry in the number 22 running a new Garage Guys scheme here tonight on that Camry. I did promise our chat viewers, Brandon, and all watching around that 50, we will have a live trivia question. I'd be lying if I said I already had it created, but I got 19 laps to figure one out. And there's a virtual prize on offer. So
Is there?
Some good stuff.
Okay.
Some good stuff. But we are starting to spread out here. There is some battling still going on later in the field. Johnny Thomas. I did see him in battling. That has completed itself a little bit further ahead. That's the number 25, Marshall Stanley. He's trying to get by the 8 of Richard Lafferty. That's 15th and 16th. That's the first active battle on the track right now. And it looks like that position will go to Stanley without too much contestment. Up front again, we're in the top 5. Josh Adams, he's trying to get that 4th spot, I believe. Yes, it is the 4th spot from Patrick Gaspar in the 86. He has the preferred groove to the inside. Gaspar's going to try to put up a fight. Can't do it with that lack of an outside groove, and move the 95 into the 4th spot.
Good move by that 86, also dropping right down in front of the 03 of Dylan Thomas and keeping the door shut for behind him. And Patrick Gaspar going to remain in the top 5 as of right now. Josh Adams moves up to that 4th position. Now he's got a little ways to go, but he's got his eyes set on the 3rd position with Nick Massey. Yeah,
I'm almost wondering, but I did talk about it, Massey has been leading the race, and he hasn't really been contested, but now that he's lost the lead, we do know here on iRacing the aero push is modeled. Dirty air is, something that does affect these machines. So he's back in that 3rd spot now. The tires are starting to wear. We don't have too many grooves to choose from. So now that he's stuck there in that 3rd spot, just probably not having the downforce on that front, he can't seem to close any more than that half-second deficit.
Yeah, absolutely. And, another thing, this is one of those runs, this is the longest run that we've had so far on the nights, and this is one of the runs that kind of has that green flag feel for it. Maybe Nick Massey just doesn't have that good of a longer run car. And of course, we'll have to wait just a little bit longer to see, but he is falling off just a little bit now each lap.
Yeah, it's about 5 to 6 tenths of a second. Josh Adams is trying to break away from that second pack. That is Gaspar, Thomas, and the 57 of Pettit. A little bit further back, here comes a side-by-side battle. That's Scott Crump. Remember, we expect Crump to be up there. He's second in the points right now. He's only running in the 8th position, well, 8th and 9th, trying to still complete that pass on the 22 of Lowry, Kenny Lowry. I do expect him to get it into 3, as he does. And that is the number 08 of Will Canny. Tried to fill in the gap there and try to get to the inside of the 22, but 22 was able to block that, shut the door, and will remain in the 10th position for the time being.
So these guys singled out throughout most of the field now. Looks like battle within the top 10. The 57, Adam Pettit, going to be looking down low of Dylan Thomas, and with the 03 heading down to the corner number 3 now. Right onto the back bumper of that 57. Maybe something for him on corner exit.
Yeah, Brad, I did see a gaggle back there about in the mid-teens right now, something I do want to focus a little bit of time on. Kyle Lowry, remember after that contact in the wall, he's back in the 14th spot. He does have the 8, he does have the 10 rather, as Ishan Dura in the 17th spot right behind him. Johnny Thomas trying to work his way up from the mid-20s. He's in the 18th spot, trying to go and test that 3rd lane out, not quite working, but he does have the 23 of Jake Finch to his inside right behind that. And then behind him, we have, who is that? Kyle Hanshaw, I do believe, and Johnny Parnham right there. So about 10 drivers within about a half second, just completely bottled up right here.
Zishan Dura just gave Lowry a little bit of a bump there through the corner, moved him up the racetrack, and now he's going to look underneath him for position. And this is all the way back in about the mid-teens, folks. And
look at Johnny Thomas send it on corner entry. He's really trying to work that high side, and he's actually holding on. But when you do that, even if it hangs on for the lap, that is just murdering that right front tire.
Absolutely it is, and well, it worked to get the position that time around. He's going to run the middle groove this time, and he's able to hold on up there for right now, but you got to wonder what moves like that are doing to that right front, just as you said, Corey. And now the 23 came down, almost a little bit of contact. I thought they were going to try to push it 3 wide.
Yeah, it looks like they tried to, and again, a couple of those guys are testing that seam, the 2nd and 3rd groove. Remember, Homestead is a dynamically banked track, so there's more banking on the top than on the middle than on the bottom. So if you straddle those seams, it's what we call de-wedges the car. Essentially, it's almost like, you know, taking some wedge out on a pit stop. It just creates an imbalance in the car, which can sometimes help the handling if you are able to do it right. Seems like these guys are trying to test that out. As we do go up a little bit further in the grid, back into the top 10, do have a side-by-side battle, Cannon and Kenny Lowry. That is for the 8th and 9th positions. That battle, of course, we focus on it and it goes away. And there's further ahead, Scott Crump. Remember, he showed up in 9th. Now he's up to 6th spot as he is trying to close in. And then it's going back up to our leaders right now. Not too much has changed. Leininger is holding on by about 1/4 of a second over Tate Lytle. And Nick Massey has fallen back by about 3/4 of a second. He is hanging on in 3rd. And it looks like these guys are spacing out in the top 10. But other than that, everybody seems to, kind of be in little 2-3 car bunches, if you will.
That they are, and 23, Jake Finch making his way up through the field a little bit here, and back here in the mid-teens once again, and gaining position. A good side-by-side battle here between him and Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, he's trying again. He's trying that 3rd lane, and right behind him, more guys trying that 3rd lane, that black machine to the top of the racetrack. That's Marshall Stanley. He's trying that 3rd groove out, not to much success, but he is still trying into 1 and 2. It used to work very well back in the day, and he's trying it again 3 and 4. You can see right through the center of the corner. That's where he runs out of grip.
Oh, man. Look out. Kyle Lowry, contact between him and the 23. A big wiggle down for him off of corner number 2 that last time by. Now that's going to open up the door for the 46. Underneath him, that's Kyle Henshaw.
And Hanshaw down in that first groove. There's less banking down there, and that's going to give the two of Lowry a little bit of a run to the outside. You can see that right front damage. Oh, some side drafting. Almost got into the fender there. Here he comes with a crossover into 3. He's not going to be able to sail it on in there. Will have to settle for 18th. But again, that right front damage from that contact with Chris Wright obviously still affecting Lowry in a negative way. Wright, by the way, is still in the pits, 17 laps down, still trying to repair that damage. And again, for you Zach Patton fans, he is running on track 4 laps down with that heavily damaged number 3.
Yeah, and you know, it was an unfortunate break for Lowry too, as we saw him, you know, making his way up towards the front, and now that little bit of damage and just that little bit of change in aerodynamics of the cars on the bigger tracks like this, you can see how big of a negative effect it can really have to the handling of the race car and just the overall speed.
Yeah, we are hoping here. We can always hope. You know, iRacing is actually very good about updates, and they are very good about patches and kind of tweaks. We did have a scheduled patch for Thursday. As a caution comes out on lap number 46. Looks like it's the 44 and the 4, a wreck of the 4s. Strackbine and Hickey. We'll check out our replay and try to sort out what happened amongst these drivers. Looks like in turns 1 and 2. Looks like they were, the 4 was to the outside, the 44 was to the inside. And the 44 Strackbine, oh, he just put it in full send mode in there. It looks like maybe he wasn't expecting the 4 to be as slow on entry, but he just drove it on in there, man.
Yeah, so the 44 cruising around here, even still, but missing a very significant part of the race car, and that would be
the front.
Well, basically the whole front of that car, and so not really having the best of nights is that 44 machine. That's incident number 2 that he's been involved in, and that race car not looking too hot. So tough break for all of these drivers that have been involved in wrecks on the night.
Yeah, I think the least of his problems is going to be running too hot without that lack of a front end. But everybody is in pit road right now for what we presume to be 4 tires and fuel. Massey very slow into his stall there. Gaspar had to back up just a little bit, as we do have somebody already exiting the pits right there. That must be 2 tires, or just drove through his stall. Trying to figure out who that was, but...
That's Johnny Thomas, and did not stop in his stall at 83. I think he missed his stall, so expect him to come in the next
spun
stall.
out in the pits. That's Kyle Hanshaw. He's going to have to back up right into the middle of pit road, right in the middle of traffic, but he will get through. Not totally sure what happened there, but some guys will be of some concern there. And Strackbine, after that incident, I think he might be going for a lap lead, but he did stay out. Dylan Hickey stayed out, and Johnny Thomas just drove straight through the pits. An update for those who have missed some of the race. There was an incident between again, fan favorite Zach Patton and Chase Cardoza earlier in the race, which put both of them out. And as there may be some teammate affiliation there from what I'm trying to gather, again, with our SimTV affiliation that we do have and our viewer interaction. And that trivia question is going to have to wait, because let's just say I didn't come up with it yet, but it will come. It will come.
No, come on, Corey.
I mean, I already kind of used my trivia when I gave that whole entire track history here at Homestead, but I mean, yeah, we'll work on it. We'll work on it. Again, do want to give another shout out to the series, ERSCA, pristineauction.com series, running these Xfinity machines. Got a lot of sponsors in the league. You'll see them all on the bottom of our tower ticker on the left side of the screen, a vertical ticker, Kyle's favorite kind of ticker. All of these sponsors will flash by, but tonight's individual race sponsor that will pop in the ticker on occasion, and I just want to make sure I get them right to help these league sponsors out. Stay Tuned Sports. The Stay Tuned Sports podcast came on board for tonight's festivities. So again, you want to check them out. And yes, I am working on the trivia, guys. I am working on the trivia for this virtual SimTV bumper sticker. Unless Kyle wants to give away a real one, we'll do a virtual one for now. Not as exciting, Brandon, I take it, right?
No. You got my hopes up.
A virtual bumper sticker. I'm sure Kyle will. I mean, if you do subscribe, and this is, an inadvertent plug, I know Kyle and Finney, they do have a subscriber system set up on YouTube with different tiers of interaction. I do believe it is still set up with Super Chat and things on those lines. And I do know if you do sign up for, I think, one of their tiers over X amount of time, there is some free SimTV merch, and they do have their whole SimTV merch store on simtvbroadcasting.com/store. He didn't even tell me to do that plug. I just did it for him. How about that?
Good job, Corey. Yes. I'm proud of you. We're all proud of you.
Yes.
So, anyways.
Our front row and all of our hoopla right there, the front row has rotated. Tate Lytle is going to be your leader. Leininger is on the outside of the front row. And then in row 2, Scott Crump all the way up to 3rd. And then Nick Massey back to 4th. Pretty much the lowest we've seen him all day. And pace car will pull into pit road, and we'll see what Lytle can do as the commander of the field. And he will get on the accelerator and get us underway on lap number 51.
Green flag in the air once again, something to watch out for. As we know, Corey, cold tires going to be really slick here for the first 2 laps or so of this run.
Yes, it is, and you see Leininger all the way up there in that second, almost 3rd groove. They're trying to see what he can do, if he can try to do anything with Crump, who's trying to go for 2nd right now. But again, that inside groove is just too powerful right now, and he will fall into that 2nd spot. Leininger will get loose off of 4, and how did he save that car?
Big save off of corner number 4 for Damian Leininger. Now he's got company for the 48 and Nick Massey. Those guys are going to single out for the most part in a battle back here in the latter half of the top 10. 86 rather on the inside. 57 now looking on the inside of him down into corner number 3. A little bit of a block, a little bit of a near contact there. Those guys are going to sort it out now.
And single file for your first about 10 or 12 spots. Dylan Thomas in the 0-3 to the inside of the number 50. Last week's winner, Joe Francis. Haven't mentioned him too much in tonight's efforts, but he is trying to get himself up there right now. Did start in the 10th position. He is up to 8, so a rather modest day for the number 50. But again, we aren't even to halfway yet, so a lot can happen. I do expect to see him a little bit higher in the grid as laps tick off.
I think we may have a battle for the lead starting to unfold as Crump was nearly to the inside of that 56 as he was for a split second down the back straightaway and just wasn't quite able to get there down into corner number 3. Now these guys, of course, we focus on them, are going to kind of fall back into place once again, but Scott Crump showing a lot of potential early in this race.
To the inside, just gets to the inside fender, then nearly contact, splitting hairs there. Finding some space off the inside of 2 was the number 51 of Crump, and he lost his position. He's going to have to send it, and he's going to do exactly that. Lytle's going to be way too high on the track where the grip isn't quite there, or is there enough for him to hold a quarter panel on the outside groove? Looks like he is going to fight his hardest battle side by side on the top of the racetrack.
He had the momentum on the outside, but now sending it down into corner number 1, going to come up in front of that 56. Scott Crump, as of now, holds the lead and held the lead for that lap.
Look at this bump draft as we go to the bumper cam, and right at the perfect time, a little bit of a shove from Lytle down there in the backstretch. He will back off, but again, Brandon, we saw this 51, drive up from 3rd to the lead. Look at this 56 through the center of 3 and 4. Where did he come from turning the turbo boosters on?
Big head of steam going down the front straightaway now down into corner number 1. It's going to be side by side for the lead once again. The guys behind them are loving this as they're going to be able to reel them in, and they've already got company for the 12 machine.
And you know what these guys are doing, Brandon? These guys are taking withdrawals out of the tire bank right now, and by the time they need them, they are going to be overdrafting, and there's going to be nothing left because they are battling so aggressively for the lead right now. And just think, if we do 20, 30 laps green, they're going to be regretting driving this hard. We may see somebody else come to the front.
almost some big contact there. Scott Crump tucks to the inside once again. It's going to be side by side off of corner number 2. 51 on the inside. Now he's going to clear. Now here comes the 12. Tate Lytle on the outside. Damian Leininger going to be on the inside down into corner number 3.
Yes, it is, and I think, as I said, that 56 may have just tried a little bit too hard, trying to hold off Crump. He probably could have just let him go and, salvage some of the tires, but again, a little bit too many withdrawals out of the tire ATM. I am very proud of that analogy, by the way, but I think that's going to harm the 56 in the long run. Here comes Massey trying to get that third position back, and look at the run of look at the line of cars behind that are all committed to the low groove. Lytle, if he can't get back in line, he may drop a lot of positions.
These guys all trying to follow the leader, and that 48 is the leader in that group, and good move by the 56, blocking that run from Adams behind him. So these guys gonna kind of single out, and I just saw a bonsai move from the 86. They're gonna take it 3 wide down out of the corner this time, and that was near carnage. These guys gonna be 3. They were almost 4 wide at one point. Unbelievable. Almost a little bit of contact with a 0-8 now down into corner number 3.
Yeah, that 0-8 on the right behind the number 86 of Gaspar to the inside of, behind him rather, is Adam Pettit. He was to the inside. He's trying to get by that number 22 of Kenny Lowry. Has cleared and successfully completed that pass for the time being. As that battle does fizzle up. We're not having too much side-by-side. We're having a lot of battles, a lot of crossovers, but again, just not able to sustain that side-by-side. Just with the nature of where the grip is in tonight's race so far. Dylan Thomas trying to close in on Joe Francis, who fell back a couple spots back to the 10th position through all of this. And, just as an update, 27 cars still on the lead lap as we do approach the halfway point.
Battle within the top 5 once again, as Nick Massey looking outside of the 56 now. Almost a little bit of contact out of corner number 2 that time around. Nick Massey in the 48 had the run up top, or at least a little bit of a run. It was enough for him to get to the 56's door. Now he's going to cross over. Maybe he's going to look high once again, and on the bumper, on the quarter panel to that 56 was the 48.
Yeah, that 56, as he's temporarily gone for a second, but he is back right now, and Massey trying to the top of the racetrack, so that's either a sign that the 56 has lost the tires that much, or maybe, just maybe, there is something, kind of working in on that second lane, but I think if it is going to happen, it's kind of been more in 1 and 2. That's kind of where the guys are a little bit more susceptible to moving around, as somebody got a little bit loose there off of 4. I think that was the 0-8 of Will Cannon. No harm, no foul there, besides getting a little bit free. But yeah, I think if they are going to try the outside, Brandon, 1 and 2 is where it usually is. We get some people asking for Zach Patton trivia. What number is he? I don't know. Unfortunately, we haven't followed these guys enough. I don't really have too much backstory on them. But I do have our SimTV race trivia right now. 2001 obviously was a very big season in the NASCAR world, losing a star in Dale Earnhardt, and of course having 9/11 postpone one of the races. But there was actually a very good race here at Homestead on the flat configuration. Bill Elliott ended up winning the race after making a late race pass on his, at the time, Evernham Motorsports Dodge teammate. And who was that teammate that Bill Elliott drove, in conjunction with in 2001 on Ray Evernham's team?
Some TV trivia. I actually don't know this one, unlike last week.
Yeah, back when, Ray Evernham left Jeff Gordon in the year 2000. 2001, he opened up Dodge, and Bill Elliott was the driver, and he had another driver, and they had a very good race down to the last laps here. Had his first win taken away by the 27 million time popular driver Bill Elliott. And who was that driver? Virtual SimTV sticker on the on the line here, guys.
I was a whole 1 year old back then.
got someone saying Jeremy Mayfield. Jeremy Mayfield did drive for Ray Evernham, but not in 2001. But yeah, we'll wait and see if anybody finds that in the next couple minutes, and we will share it. But up front, Scott Crump having a little bit of connectivity issues, but when he is live in here, which he is for the majority of the time, he is up by almost a half second now over Leininger. Lytle, kind of settling in third, Massey in fourth. Josh Adams, who was in fifth spot, and he said we talked to him earlier, just struggling to pass here, and not so content with the car here tonight. He is in the fifth spot with a little bit of a gap here. Patrick Gaspar in sixth. Oh, man. Will Cannon in seventh. Kenny Lowry in eighth. Adam Pettit in ninth. And Joe Francis rounding out your top 10 as we do. I think this is the half. Yeah, we are at halfway. I do some mental math here. We are at halfway here at Homestead.
Oh, speaking of Will Cannon up there, he has some major company from Kenny Lowry behind him. And Cannon gave a shot to Patrick Gasper and backed off, and he fell back to the bumper of Kenny Lowry, and Kenny Lowry just did not want to lift for anything or anyone, and he was looking around for position and got the 08 really, really loose and was able to collect it. Kenny Lowry able to collect it there himself as he got a little bit loose in that whole situation, and now ducking, looking low below the 08, not quite going to get there that time around, but he's hunting for the front.
We did have a winner, Wingman Sports. He got the hit. It was Casey Atwood. That was Bill Elliott's teammate in 2001. So ask Kyle or Finney if they can give you a virtual Sim TV sticker, maybe a real one if they like you enough. But that is the teammate. Not a lot of people remember Casey Atwood. He was good in the Busch Series and nearly shined, but just didn't quite make it in NASCAR too far after that, as we do have a continuing battle for second. Thought there was going to be some contact there through 3 and 4 between Lytle and Leininger, but they did stay off of each other, and Lytle will take that second spot away.
Sade Lytle taking that second spot away. Now Nick Massey going to take full advantage of that as he ducks below the 12. Damian Leininger up on the outside. Nick Massey on the inside. Now Massey going to try to use his momentum. He's going to tuck behind the 56. And now he's got his eyes set for that second position.
Yes, he does. And again, for our Zach Patton fans out there, he is in the pits right now, 5 laps down. But we do have, again, most everyone singled out right now. We kind of gave you a top 10. Joe Francis was in 10th right now. Dylan Thomas is in 11th. Vincent Isabella is in 12th. We do have Robert Hill Jr. in 13th. I don't think I mentioned him too many times tonight. Richard Lafferty in 14th. Did you see Dura in the 15th spot? Johnny Parham in the 15th/16th spot as he is battling live with the 10 machine right now. As we do have some smoke ahead. Jake Finch is in 17th. Eastern Dura is back to 17th now. Finch to 16th, Kyle Hanshaw in 18th, Brandon Key in 19th, and Kyle Lowry, again, after that contact with the wall, just has not been the same in the 20th position.
Talk about a gaggle of cars even still back here. These guys are still running, not too much side by side, but there is a lot of bumper-to-bumper traffic back here, and these guys still mixing it up quite a bit back here in the team.
Yeah, that's where the battles are right now. Again, Joe Francis, he's in 10th now. Thought he was going to make a move on Adam Pettit, did fall back, but looks like they still are side by side. Dura and the number 84 of Hill, very close. They are just getting so close to each other on the entry of turn 3. I'm just waiting for some carnage to ensue. So far, so good. As right behind them, that was Kyle Hanshaw in the 46 machine. A very low exit of the corner there, but nearly washed back up the track into Hill Jr. But again, everyone is fine so far. Again, Brandon Key, usually he's top 10 driver. Again, not having the best run here. Looks like a lot of these guys here at Homestead, Brandon, is not quite where they usually are in the running orders.
Update on last week's winner, Joe Francis. He's currently in the top 10, hunting down that 9th position right on the back bumper of the 57 of Adam Pettit right now. So, he's been working his way up towards the front. He started, I think, back in the teens. So he is showing some decent long run speed and slowly starting to gain some positions back.
And Brandon, one thing we do have to bring up, because we are on a long enough run now where it is going to be something to discuss, as looks like Francis did move up into the 9th position, making that pass on Pettit. We're closing in on about 30 laps of green flag racing, and we are at what is about 53 laps to go right now. Math, something, you know, there's a lot of laps to go, but essentially enough where we only really need one more pit stop. So the question's going to be, when do these guys pit? And again, if we are pitting under green, we're pulling off of corner number 4, off of that 18-19 degrees of banking, into a very, very long pit road without a lot of run-up room to it.
And I'm peeling off the bacon.
Peeling off the bacon. And who's going to slide on the grease? And remember Kurt Busch in 2004, he lost a tire, nearly hit the pit road wall there. But even just under regular green flag conditions, we actually saw one of the Coca-Cola iRacing Series drivers. I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but one of the iRacing drivers in the top series going for $300,000 of prize money hit the pit wall, and he said he was absolutely ashamed of it on Twitter after the race. But that's something that it's not uncommon. It's so easy to do it. Look at here. You just come off a 4, you pull off the banking, and the pits are right there. You're getting down to what I believe it is 45 or 50 miles an hour here at Miami.
Yep, I do believe 50 miles an hour is the speed limit here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, so it is a drastic speed difference coming through the bank from the 170 that you'll probably be going through the center of the corner, and well, maybe closer to 100, 145, 150, but even still, that's a big speed difference.
Yeah, it does look like about 140 to 150 by the time they get off to the center of the corner there. But yeah, you're going down and you're de-wedging the car when you go off of 10 to 15 degrees of banking at that transition point off the track. You're slowing down, you're dropping off banking, you're locking the brakes up, you're trying to not hit a wall, seeing if there's anybody around. A lot going on, and then you have to do it as fast as you can so that you don't lose track position to the guys that you're battling with. We do have another battle right now. Kenny Lowry passing Josh Adams. Adams was in 5th. He's lost that top 5 status down to the 6th position now. It's where we talked to him on interview on the last caution, and here he is. Looks like they are blocking and swerving on the front straightaway.
A lot of battling action going on around this racetrack right now, and even if it's not up front, there has been a lot of action throughout this field, and I don't think there's really been a time in this race where there hasn't been 2 cars next to each other.
And, well, speaking of action, Brandon, I'm just looking at our schedule of where we are going to be residing on next week's race, next Monday night here on Sim TV. We head to the last great Coliseum of the Bristol Motor Speedway for the Ohio Intra 200. And we know Bristol has changed in terms of its raceability, both in real life and in the sim. We know it's usually right up around the fence. Sometimes the inside works a little bit better than others. But one thing we do know is it's going to be fast, and there's going to be some very, very frustrated drivers at the end of it.
Absolutely. The world's fastest half mile, and that should be a good race next week as well. And these guys always put on a really good show here. Of course, last week going flag to flag, green to checkered, without a caution, and it was a rocky start early in this race, but these guys sorted it out. And now on the longest green flag run that we've had of the nights, and possibly preparing for green flag pit stops here shortly.
Yeah, we're about 52 laps to go right now, and we are 33 laps in. We have the first pit stop of the sequence right now. It's Patrick Gaspar. He was running in the top 10, and he did peel off that banking into pit lane, and this 51 to go. Again, last week, Braden, it was about 45 laps of fuel mileage, so not one to comment because I don't want to screw it up, but if it's anything like the mileage was last week, he's not going to make it without one further stop from here. So we'll have to take a gander on when are these other drivers going to pit. Scott Crump is up by 1.2 seconds right now over Lytle and Massey. Massey has closed in a little bit to the back bumper of the 56, and Leininger has dropped off a cliff. He's now almost a second and 3/4 off of the battle for third. And remember, he was leading and then in second for quite some time. Joe Francis up to the 8th spot now, trying to get 7th as he does pass Will Cannon. So Francis is working his way up through the field here. He is 6 seconds off the lead. He will need a caution to make some ground up. But again, the first driver we have to pit lane so far was Patrick Gaspar in the number 86 machine. And just as a focus of lap times, guys, these guys on average, the best laps of the race have been around a 33-second flat, high 32s. We're running mid to high 34s right now. Crump with a 34.2. Most of these guys in the 4s and 5s. So on average, we're at about a second and a half of fall off. So that 86 is going to be gaining a second and a half every single time by. And Brett, I just do not think, based on what we saw last week at Atlanta, we saw guys do 2 stops. We saw guys do 1 stop. And I just don't think there's enough fall off to justify doing a second trip down pit lane.
No, I don't think so, Corey. You'd have to... The time would have to be drastically different from the start of a run to the end. And we haven't been seeing a lot of tire fall off here. And that leads me to believe that we're really not going to have any tire issues here tonight. And, good thing for these drivers. I think they can just focus on the fuel run and see where they need to be for the end of this thing, and just base their pit stops off of that.
Yeah, I mean, again, just the tire model on iRacing, it's kind of like, every time we come out, it's like a different compound. It's like in the real world, Goodyear will come out with a new compound, and the guys have to get used to it. They may throw away their notebooks. They may have to, make some small adjustments. It may be completely what they're used to, but this new tire model on iRacing, it does have its nuances, and, it's easy to blow a tire, but the actual tire fall off, and the grip does go away, but the tire fall off itself, I mean, we used to see 3 seconds fall off. Not so much anymore, so that does kind of take the 2-stop strategy out of it. So again, I think these guys, once they get into a fuel window, which I'm going to gather probably around lap 95, I would have to imagine. That'll probably be when most of these guys will probably come to pit road around 40 to go. That'll be the 1 stop to the end.
That it will, and that'll set these guys, like you just said, up for the end of this race. And so stops, give it 6, 7, maybe 8 laps. These guys should be, as far as leaders go, starting to pull in for some green flag stops.
And guys who did have some problems early in the race, I just do want to point out, David Strackbein did have a ton of issues earlier in the race with an incident. He is 11 laps down, but still on the track, still clicking laps off in the 29th position. Zach Patton, he is in the 28th position, 7 laps down. So these guys aren't really... One thing, Brady, you do like to see out of these leagues, just, sportsmanship guys, just not throwing in the white flag, no pun intended, but, just kind of giving up when they have problems. Good to see guys, try to go out here and, finish these races off. You never know, you might get a position here too. Which, that's points, which at the end of the season does add up, and, could be the difference of making it into the playoffs or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And, got to focus on the big picture, not necessarily just one race. Anything you can get can help you in the season overall. And, as many of these guys know, even 1 point at the end of the season can make a big difference.
Adam Pettit in the pit road. Remember, he was in the top 10. I think it was around 7th or 8th he was. He is in the pit road now. 43 laps to go, which we're about 43 laps into the run right now. So this is definitely within fuel range. So it's just really a matter at this point of how long do you want to go, and how short do you want to make the next stint. We do have another top 5 driver, first top 5 driver of the race, Tate Lytle. He is in the pits. I think he was in 2nd or 3rd. I can't quite remember. But he is in the pits right now, and we'll see if that draws Crump in a little bit sooner. He was about 3 seconds back, so every lap that Crump stays out, that is going to give another 1.5 seconds per lap to Lytle. But,
Here comes your leader down pit road. Scott Crump coming for 4 tires and fuel.
And just by the way, again, these guys as are getting really loose. And look at the 22. The 22 of Kenny Lowry dead sideways on the entry of pit lane. Remember, I talked about countless times. This is a very difficult pit lane to get in. And Lowry, we'll see if he was able to slow down in time for it. But that was a very close call. Kind of see, we'll go on board with Nick Massey and see just by chance if he does choose to pit this time, just so we can kind of get a gather of how difficult it is. Of course not. He's going to stay out. I want to kind of go on board with somebody as they go into the pits here, just so we can get a first-hand experience of how difficult it is. I personally haven't had to do it here on the green flag, so I actually am kind of curious myself. We do have Leininger still waiting to pit. We still have the top 10. Leininger, Adams, Francis, Finch, Parham, Key, Jura, Hill Jr., and McCorkle all still waiting for them to pit. See if Massey comes to pit road this time by.
Not going to happen this time
Don't
around.
you guys know I need someone to pit right now?
I don't know if they can hear you from in the race cars, Corey.
No, these guys, I mean, one thing these guys are doing is they're losing time right now, but they will gain that time back at the end of the run, because at the end of the run, remember, their tires are just going to be that much, that little bit fresher than everybody else's. Now, is it going to be enough of a difference to, combat the time lost now? Well, that's to be decided. But, well, at least we'll figure that out in the moment. Or, you can try to catch these guys a lap down. But if you are Massey, that's Tate Lytle, who just got his lap back, so.
And now there comes Scott Crump as well around you.
Yeah, worth noting as well that, in that one lap, Lytle did, in that one extra lap, Lytle was able to surpass and build a gap on these drivers. So now when does Nick Massey come to pit road? I think it's it. Nope. Still going one more lap.
Staying out again.
We are going to go on board with him every single lap until he pits, so.
I'm sorry for our viewers.
No, I mean, we do have Leininger, Adams, and Francis, so the remainder of the top 5 does pit. So that does just leave Massey of the guys that have been in contention. It leaves him as the only one on the racetrack still.
Corey 48 coming to pit road this time.
All right, so we're going to go on board as we've been waiting. See, he was very conservative on that entry there, not like the 22 of Lowry, who was very aggressive. So, see, just slow on the bottom of the racetrack. He gets it down to the 50-mile-an-hour speed limit. And we'll see where he does shake out in the mix of things. Now we just wait on Zishandura and the number 10 machine. He's going to come to pit road this time by. That was weird. He straddled the inside lane like it looked like he was going to pit, but stays on the track for another lap.
Maybe trying to get a lap led for some extra points. That could be.
Trying to focus on what will be the battle for the lead when this is all said and done. Remember, Patrick Gaspar, he is technically in second right now, but he pitted 10 laps ago, so he does have a gap on these guys of about 2 seconds, but he is going to, lose that 2-second gap pretty quickly because the fresher tires of Crump right behind.
Now here comes the 10 to pit lane.
Yeah, Lytle is, can't really follow Lytle right now just because of his connection issues, but, look at Gasper. He's in the middle groove right now on those slightly older tires, and look at Lytle. He's going to be like a bat out of hell right here, closing into the back bumper, and he's going to clear him with absolutely no issue. And that's the strategy call on the 56. He lost the lead already. Again, he was running about mid-teens, latter end of the top 10, mid-teens. I'm not too sure where the strategy call is going to go, where he's going to fall back to. I guess if he falls back to, a higher position than he was before, the strategy call is still a positive for him, but we are expecting him to probably have to pit before this is over with. Yeah,
absolutely. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out.
And then Crump back in third. He is 1.7 seconds off of Tate Lytle right now. So the question is, we saw Crump by, about 2 seconds over the field before the pit stops. But the time in the pits, again, the time doesn't really indicate. It was just the extra lap on the track that Lytle stayed out, that Crump stayed out. It cost him this lead. And so far, Lytle's doing a pretty good job in that clean air of extending this. We'll see if that 51's able to close in the next 33 laps, or if we will have a caution to, artificially bunch this field up. But, Brandon, as you kind of alluded to, probably midway through the race, it just seems like this race kind of has that green flag flair to it. So if a caution's going to come out, it's going to be, some aggressive contact for position, but I don't see any self-spins or anything like that. So this thing does have that vibe to it, but of course that can change in a heartbeat.
Yeah, absolutely it can. And by the way, Nick Massey, for as long as he stayed out, he fell all the way back to, currently in the 9th position. I think he fell as far back as about 10th or 11th after everything was all said and done there with pit stops.
Yeah, so he's in the 9th spot, and he is 10 seconds off your lead. However, this is the thing with it. He's 10 seconds off the lead, but he also has about 7 to 10 lap fresher tires, depending who we're referencing. And his last time, a 33 flat, so he's running about 3 or 4 tenths of a second faster than these guys in front of him. Now, is it going to be enough to get him, to second or third in 31 laps? Again, that's what we have to stay tuned for. But, again, it'll be interesting. Again, I've made these kind of calls before. I get nervous about it because you're putting yourself, essentially, do you want to be the chaser or the chasee? And usually being the chaser is more fun, but if you don't time it right, you may not set yourself up for success.
That's absolutely right. And, I'm really liking the position that Scott Crump is in right now. Corey he's really not gaining too much, trying to conserve his stuff on the leader, but he is holding a consistent pace with him, and he is one of the drivers that we know for sure should be okay as far as tires and fuel go. So, I think he's in a really favorable position at the moment.
Yes, he is. And just to note, drivers who have had issues, the 91 of Johnny Parham, he was running midfield, and he did have some significant issues, or pulled it in the pits for some reason. He has been in there for a couple minutes now. Unsure if he'll get back out there. So we are down to 19 drivers on the lead lap. Last one of those being Brandon Key in the number 42 machine. And he is 29 seconds behind your leader, so it's about 33-second lap time. So that is going to, essentially be maybe about a corner or so behind is going to be your leader. We're trying to see if we can see him in a long shot. Coming into 1 and 2 right now is Brandon Key, and we'll try to see if our bumper cam, you can see right there in the center of the corner, that is your leader of Tate Lytle, just coming off of corner number 2, so just about a straightaway ahead of lap traffic. And then just kind of going, we'll go backwards through the field of our lead lap drivers right now. Brandon Key in the 19th spot, Dylan Hickey running in 18th, Richard Lafferty running in the 17th spot, Kyle Lowry again in that number damaged car, and that number 2 slightly damaged car is in the 16th spot. Jake Finch in the 15th spot, and Joe Francis, remember he was running about 6th, 7th spot, he fell back quite distantly to the 14th spot all of a sudden. Not quite sure what happened there. But Joe Francis in 14th, Kyle Hanshaw in 13th. Johnny Thomas working his way back up. Remember, he was in the 20s earlier. He's now in the 12th spot, at least for the time being. Kyle Hanshaw now in 12th, and then Vincent Isabella in 11th. And then, Brandon, if you could take the top 10.
Dylan Dylan Thomas in that 9th position at the moment. Adam Pettit running 8th position in that 57 machine. Damian Leininger running in that 7th position. 6 is Will Cannon in that 08. Now just in the top 5, or switch those. Will Cannon now in 5th position. Patrick Grasper falling back a couple of spots there. Nick Massey running in that 4th position up there. 3rd at the moment is Kenny Lowry. Nick Massey quickly gaining on him as well. Scott Crump running 2nd, about 1.4 seconds back from your leader, and currently leading the events is the 56 of Tate Lytle.
Again, just referencing drivers off the lead lap right now. Quickly, Marshall Stanley, Brian Dorsey, Sean Dias, Uzi Chandura, Brent Jones, Robert Hill Jr., those drivers all 1 lap down. Cody McCorkle is 2 laps down. Zach Patton is 27th, 8 laps down. Then David Strackbein, Johnny Parham, Chris Wright, and Chase Cardoza, the 31 cars that took time tonight. Now, we talked about Nick Massey and kind of questioning his strategy. He did start this run about 10 or so seconds back. He has closed in to within 8.5 seconds of your leader, and that puts him in position to get, as I said, up to about 2nd or 3rd. That's going to be within reach of him. He is going for 3rd right now on Kenny Lowry. This is 8.3 seconds back. He's running about 0.3 of a lap faster, but it's another 7 seconds ahead of this, as I think Lowry is just going to say, hey, go buddy, take it. Or is he just going to make him run the hard line around and take him the outside lane? Nick Massey running the hard line. See what I did there, Brendan?
Yeah, yeah, I see what you did there.
Yeah, so I thought Lowry was just going to roll over and play dead. Little throwback, but I thought Lowry was just going to roll over and play dead, but he was just making him run the high line, trying to get by. He will persevere and take the spot anyways. But up front, Crump was 1.6 seconds back. Now he is about 1 second even off the back bumper of Lytle, and Brandon, he's going to get to about 3/4 of a second. The tires are going to start wearing even more. The car is going to tighten up. Then he's going to get that aero push. Biggest question is going to be, if he's faster, can he break through that aero push? Can he get to the back bumper? And most importantly, can he get by him within just about 20 laps remaining in the event?
Yeah, and this is the tough part of this race is both of these drivers have shown really good speed all night, and they've shown that they've been able to run up front and hold their own. So I think as of right now, Tate Lytle holds the advantage out front, but we know that 51 car has already been out front. He's already led laps, and he's been in both scenarios so far in this race. He knows how the dirty air is going to play, and it's going to be on him to see if he can just work around that.
Yeah, that's going to be what's important as he does get to within a half second. We have had 8 lead changes in tonight's event, and 4 caution flags have slowed down the event. We haven't had a caution, I think since before halfway at this point. Fastest lap of the race did go to Nick Massey at a 32.886, and I think there may be no more possibility of getting that unless we get some fresh tires, and we are at night. We didn't even go over our track conditions prior to the race, silly us. But again, obviously here at night, the track will have cooled down quite significantly from where it was before. Where it currently is right now, track is 83 degrees with a 78-degree air temp, north wind, as we are 7:15 or so, 7:17, 7:18 VST, virtual standard time, as I think my friends at Global Sim Racing channel kind of deemed it.
I like that. That's pretty good.
Yeah, virtual standard time, VST.
So these guys, really awesome racing so far tonight. I'd like to point out, but so far top 2, Scott Crump really starting to pull in on your leader Tate Lytle. Now only 0.2 back, just a little bit over 0.2 back. Now almost right up to the back bumper, about a 10th behind.
And one thing I do want to point out too is, even though Crump is, we think he's a little bit faster, and he's had to push. Remember, he was 1.7 seconds back, and he's right to the back bumper now. Again, race sponsor, Stay Tuned Sports, on the front bumper, on the front hood of Crump, and that is the race sponsor here tonight. But he had to push 1.7 seconds to close in. So he had to use those tires up. Lytle, I mean, he may be giving it his all. He may have just been cruising. Now, is Crump going to be able to get by, and does he have the tires still remaining to get by and hang on while leading for about 15, 14 laps? That's my question, and well, I don't have an answer, but that's why we're here to watch the end of this race.
Right there, the last time off of turn 2 is a perfect example of that cushion of air that gets built between these race cars and the dirty air, and how it really has an effect. Crump had a really big run through the center of the corner, and he got almost to the back bumper of that 56 and just kind of stalled the momentum as he got right into the back bumper. That's that cushion of air. It's almost like a barrier between Crump and the car in front of him, and that's what he's going to have to really struggle to get through before he can get that lead.
He's just looking down the racetrack. Kind of a road racing strategy that people do is you just get the guy to mirror drive. You pull to the inside on the straightaway even when you don't have the position. You just do it just enough to distract him in the front. As we do, we are closing in on lap traffic here, as we do go on board with Crump on the roof cam into corner number 1. Lytle, here he comes. Lytle tries to block him down to the inside, all the way to the flat. Lytle's going to really wash up the track. He's going to try to remain on the right rear quarter panel off of 2 and give him some kind of battle down the back straightaway. He's not going to be able to. He's going to keep a little bit of momentum. He's going to look to the outside. He's going to look back to the inside, entering corner number 3.
Down into corner number 3. Lytle has got that low line, still not quite able to get to him. Now we've got lap traffic up ahead. Right on the back bumper is that 56 to the 51 now, down the front straightaway, heading down into corner number 1 as these guys are going to have to weave through lap cars.
That's Brandon Key all the way to the outside. We talked about him. He was the last on the lead lap down. He is no longer in the 16th spot. He'll be 1 lap down. And that's Dylan Hickey, number 4 Mobile 1 Mustang, just ahead. I'm sure he will let these leaders by with relative ease, as he does go all the way to the top of the track. And we'll see if they are able to clear. If the 51's not able to clear on exit, that'll compromise his corner exit. I think both of them kind of had the same line, so the effect should be shared between the both of them. But again, I talked about it earlier, but it's still an important fact. Crump had to push to get to where he is. He had to use some tires to push. He had to use some tires to get by. Is there enough rubber? Does Lytle have enough to, light the wick a little bit and try to get him back within 12 laps? I'm not entirely sure, but again, people in our chat also bringing up, we always have the unknown of a yellow flag. Doesn't really seem pretty evident, but there's always a possibility of it.
Yeah, we've had this long green flag run, and I'm going to go off of statistics, and thank you, Larry Mack, as statistics have shown throughout this race. Yes, you heard me. Statistics have shown the last caution has come within the last 8% of the races here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, so that is always a variable. Also, if you're going off of statistics.
Yes, our SIP TV statistics. Fueled by bacon, by peeled bacon.
Yeah, peeled bacon.
Damian Leininger in 4th right now. And again, Nick Massey in 3rd. And he started about 10 seconds back. He's gotten about a third of the way into that, a little bit more so, down to about 6.5 seconds. But now the lap times have evened out. I think Crump just has these guys beat either way. But the lap times have evened out, so Massey is not getting any more usage out of those tires that do have 5 less laps on them than his competition. Some sparks flying up there in corner number 3. That was actually Kenny Lowry, hire of the Lowry brothers here tonight in that number 22 machine on the entry at turn number 3. And again, that's just something that I'm shocked we haven't seen more of it tonight, Brandon, because the way that Homestead is, and again, slight dig to iRacing, but the safer barrier isn't fully encompassing around this racetrack. You can see it fades away where it used to on the backstretch down to concrete, but then it tapers back in. And if you're running just a little bit too high on the entry of the corners, you'll kind of hit where the taper part of it is, and it'll catch you off guard, damage the vehicle.
Absolutely it will. I know you and I have probably both had our fair share of that happening to us, but yeah, always something to watch out for on these older modeled tracks, something that we have to deal with in the sim racing world that these guys obviously don't have to deal with in the real world. Is the older model.
And I'll tell you too, iRacing, we just got the new version of Texas Motor Speedway, finally, and Texas Motor Speedway is fully encompassed in safer barriers. And I am so used to the old version of Texas that I know exactly how far I can drift off of turn number 4. And now that there's safer barriers off of turn number 4, I hit the wall every single lap because my brain is like, I have 3 more feet. Wait, no, I don't. It is really those safer barriers. I mean, obviously they're there to protect the drivers in reality, but they do on certain tracks. They do affect the racing and the lines, as we do have Joe Francis, last week's winner. Again, hasn't really shown too much fight here tonight, but he is trying to race with Adam Pettit for the 8th position. These guys have kind of been back and forth for the majority of the event.
I would like to point out that since Scott Crump took the lead, Tate Lytle has fallen back by about a second. So Scott Crump in a favorable position to win this race with just a handful of laps left.
And if you're Tate Lytle, I mean, just think of last week where you were trying to close in on Joe Francis. You had, you thought you were going to close in. You didn't have to save fuel. You were going full bore. You took a 15-second lead, and you were down to essentially a second at the end of it. Now role reversal. Now it's likely going to be another second-place finish tonight for Tate Lytle, but the opposite. You had the race led, just maybe didn't have the car, didn't have the tires at the end to hang on, but it's kind of that situation, Brandon, where if you have 2 second places in a row like Lytle is likely going to have, both of them may sting just a little bit.
They may sting, but it is motivation to push further, especially after leading the amount of laps that he did and showing that he does have the true speed in this race car week after week consistently. He will be a player, and I think he'll be a very good contender all season long here.
Yes, we will. And again, remember, next week, head to the Bristol Motor Speedway. And then we completely just flipped the scripts from Bristol to the high bank short track to the high bank super speedway at Talladega, which, I mean, we have 2 lottery races in a row if you want to look at it that way. And then we have a week off. I believe it's the week of Easter, I think. April 13th we are off. And then we head to Dover, one of my favorite tracks, Chicagoland. And then beginning of May, we are going to flip the script and head to the Roval at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. So that is going to be interesting, leading us up to essentially a month of Charlotte, where we're going to have the All-Star race, but I don't think the track's been dictated for that yet. And then we head to the Charlotte Motor Speedway for our longest race of the season, a 300-mile race in the middle of May. So that's our upcoming schedule, and Brandon and I will be carrying the majority of it here on SimTV. I think Kyle and Finney may be carrying one of those, and then they'll be back for the playoffs. But you will see Corey and Brandon, myself, and him. We used to have our channel on PTR TV, helping Kyle and Finney out here, covering these guys on SimTV, having a great time at it, as Crump does pull up to nearly a 2 3/4 over Lytle, headed down to just over 3 miles left in the event.
Yeah, absolutely. So Scott Crump pulling away by quite a bit out front, and just a couple of laps to go here, 2 laps to go that last time across the line. And these guys, of course, awesome racing all around here tonight. Scott Crump out front, Tate Lytle second, Damian Leininger in third, Nick Massey holding that 4th position, Kenny Lowry back there in 5th. That is your top 5, as these guys are coming around to take the white flag this time around.
Scott Crump in the number 51 Stay Tuned Sports machine, and the Stay Tuned Sports 200 takes the white flag. He has taken the lead about midway through the event, really hasn't looked back. It's been quite a good season for him so far. This will be the 5th race in. He had a 3rd at Daytona, not quite the run he was looking for at Richmond with an 18th. He won at Phoenix. He finished 3rd last week, so he's just pretty much just knocking on all cylinders here in the 2020 season for the ERSCA PristineAuction.com series, and he's just going to add one more, add a sticker above the A post right here, add one more, because Scott Crump's got to come off quarter number 4. He's going to win here in Homestead.
Scott Crump comes home with the win here tonight. Tate Lytle finishing 2nd, 3rd across the line. Damian Leininger right there. Nick Massey finishing 4th. Kenny Lowry, that's going to be your top 5. Josh Adams coming across 6th. 7th, it looks like out of turn 4 is going to be Kyle Hanshaw. Joe Francis finishing in that 8th position. 9th is going to be Adam Patet, and Kyle Lowry finishing 10th as they look like they wrecked coming across the line there mid-pack.
Yeah,
they did contact between himself and the 57 machine.
Yeah, we'll take a look to see what happened. We also had an incident. We'll take a look at these before we go into the final results. But off of corner number 4, you can see the 57 and the 2. They wrecked hitting the line, and then the 10 and the 86 crossing the stripe. Both of them into the front straightaway wall there. So, yeah, these guys having a little bit of a little bit of carnage here on the front straightaway to take the checkered flag here tonight. But that again is the conclusion of the event, and we'll give the checkered flag tonight to Scott Crump. Let's just go over before we head away for a brief break and get you to the post-race show. We'll just give you the final results here tonight from Miami Speedway. Again, your victor tonight by just under 2 seconds. Scott Crump takes it, the checkered flag. Tate Lytle had the lead till about 10 laps to go, was not able to hold on, hangs on for a back-to-back second place finish. Damian Leininger, another good run in his season, 3rd. Nick Massey, a solid 4th. Kenny Lowry, a good run in 5th. Josh Adams, we talked to him earlier, he was running in 6th at the time. He still runs in 6th. Kyle Hanshaw in 7th. Last week's winner, Joe Francis, in 8th. And then 9th and 10th were Pettit and Lowry. Big Finch in 11th, Richard Lafferty in 12th, Johnny Thomas in 13th, and then we had in the 14th spot, sorry, my results, they flashed by too fast, but they did flash by on your screen. Again, kind of getting used to these overlays over here, but the results did flash by entirely on the screen, and you'll still see them on the ticker once we get into the post-race interviews. But that is that. We're going to take a brief break here, get these guys into the broadcast trailer here for some post-race interviews. So stay with us, please. All right, we're back here on Sim TV for the post-race show here tonight. Results will flash by on the top of the screen, but we do have 3rd place. Brandon has caught up with Damian Leininger.
Down here on pit road with Damian Leininger finishing in the 3rd position here tonight. Damian, how you feeling after tonight's race?
That's huge for my points.
Huge on the points indeed, and you had a strong run tonight, and obviously a strong finish, and tell us a little bit about your race.
This has always been a place that I've really liked, Homestead. I like when we can really get up next to the wall, but that just wasn't going to happen tonight. And practice had a decent car, qualified a lot better than I thought I was going to be, and just kind of fell in line and tried to ride behind those 2 up front for a while and learn how to kind of manage my tires and make sure I had enough speed in the beginning not to lose many spots, but to be able to hold that through the run. And I did a decent job. I fell off a little bit on the longer run, but overall it paid off.
Yeah, strong finish for you tonight, Damien. Do you have anybody that you'd like to thank or give a shout out to here for your performance tonight?
I got a shout out to my team, Rubbins Racing Motorsports, Josh, Nick, Brandon Key, Chris. I got a shout out to Puck Pass for being my sponsor in here, in their hockey podcast with the Belly Up Sports guys, and do a pretty fantastic job. And got to thank Johnny for putting this whole thing on. Got to thank you guys for broadcasting it, and just people at home watching. I know my dad sits here and watches these the entire time, so finally I can get in here and get an interview and give him a shout out.
Awesome job. And again, awesome job on your third place finish here tonight. Thank you for talking with us. And ladies and gentlemen, that was your third place finisher here on the night.
Okay.
And I do believe Corey has caught up with your second place finisher, Tate Lytle.
Hey, what's up?
All right, Tate, you got a second place finish, man. Back-to-back second place finishes so far. You mean kind of complete opposite. Last week at Atlanta, you had to chase someone down. This week, you had to try to hang on to it. Just couldn't quite do it at the end. How was that last run trying to hold off Crump?
I knew he was going to be fast. Tried pitting there, see if I couldn't get the lead, because I was just going to run second if I didn't. But, yeah, I was pushed a little too hard trying to get by those lappers, and then I saw him closing in. I just ran a little too hard.
Yeah, so again, second at Atlanta last week, second this week at another mile and a half. We head to the half mile at Bristol next week. What are your thoughts? What's your record there at Bristol?
It's not terrible. Probably just be a battle of attrition the first half, but see how it goes.
All right, man. We'll see if you can, get one spot higher on the podium next week. Any shout-outs you want to give tonight for your second place effort?
Oh yeah, Johnny and you guys, and of course Brent Wentz with Days Gone By. He's done a lot for all of us, so yeah, thank you guys.
All right, thanks, brother, for talking to us. Yeah, have a good night. We'll catch you next week.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
And now Brandon has caught up with the winner, two-time winner this season, Scott Crump, in the number 51.
Yeah, down here in Victory Lane now, I've caught up with your race winner on the night, Scott Crump. And Scott, awesome victory here tonight. You finally got it done, and down here in Victory Lane at Homestead. How you feeling?
Feeling great.
Tell us a little bit about your race. You had a strong performance all race, and green flag pit stops. It looked like you were just unstoppable out there tonight.
I had a pretty bad queue there, qualified 6th, so that's a little average. But I knew if I just saved my tires, I can work my way through traffic. And I had some good pit stops, made me some positions up. And then I got to second, and then I just, on the long run, just started eating them up.
Yeah, absolutely. You got around Tate Lytle there for the lead late in this race, and no fight to it. You pulled away by a couple of seconds there, and strong performance here tonight. Is there anybody that you have to thank or give a shout out to?
Gotta give a shout out to Stay Tuned Sports. They did a heck of a job tonight. They were sponsoring this race and sponsoring my car, and also give a shout out to Lowline and the rest of the crew.
Again, awesome job, a solid performance here tonight, Scott. Thank you for talking with us once again, and hopefully we will see you next week. Ladies and gentlemen, that was your race winner on the night, Scott Crump.
All right, thanks, MTV.
All right, so that is our post-race show here tonight. Again, giving congratulations where it is due to Scott Crump for his second win of the season here at Homestead. We will put the results on the screen one more time just so you can get a final rundown of where everybody was, Brandon. But again, another solid night of racing here. Another clean race here for these guys. 4 cautions early on, and then green flag essentially halfway to the end. Scott Crump with the win. Any final thoughts before we part ways here tonight?
Well, it was a solid race all around, and awesome job to all of these drivers here with the series for putting out some really good action throughout the night.
Yeah, definitely are enjoying our time here. It's Corey Silva and Brandon Kreutz in the booth here tonight, signing out for Sim TV. Do want to thank all of our fans, all the league sponsors for helping us and making these races very enjoyable to cover. We'll talk to you next week at Bristol. Stay tuned.
Good racing and good night, guys.